Hello and welcome to Tips, the international property show with me, Keith Maynard. I'm joined today by Mark Castley, a real estate expert, and by Steve Pyle, a property investment expert. And we're going to be talking about Florida. It's Florida today, but each week it will be something different. And we're going to be meeting experts on the ground who are going to give us real tips about finding that dream property abroad. So Mark, what is it about Florida that really inspires people and creates so much excitement?
What I think it is, Keith, is as an expat, when you're looking to invest, one of the key things we look for is the sun. Florida is the sunshine state, so it's pretty attractive to expats. And also the fact that there's Disney and Universal Studios always just a couple of hours drive from anywhere in the state, really. So yeah, that's I think why most expats see this as a go-to place for an investment.
Now, Steve, would you agree with this? I mean, obviously you deal with opportunities the world over.
Yeah.
Do you feel that at the moment Florida still gives people excellent opportunities to make an extra buck, shall we say, if we keep it to the US?
Firstly, Keith, I'd like to say thank you very much for having us on the show today. But also, yeah, correct, Mark. I mean, we're very privileged to have Mark on the show. I mean, what he doesn't know about Florida investments is not worth knowing. As you know yourself, my expertise lies in all different weird and wonderful investments as well as property. But I must say, Florida property is at all-time high. And the experts that Mark has on the show today, it's, you know, this show is Mark's brainchild. And the experts that he has on the show, you know, these are fantastic people that know a lot about Florida as well as Mark. So, yeah, I agree with what Mark's saying. It's a great location for people who are looking to purchase a second home and investment. And these guys, they know the stuff.
Well, when you put one hand Bognor Regis and the other hand
Florida.
I think Florida wins hands down.
Just slightly, Keith.
Keith, and just to add a little note as well, touching on what Mark said before, I mean, you've got people automatically think of Florida and they think about Disney, they think about retired people, but there's so much more, isn't there, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Florida, it's an absolutely unbelievable place.
Well, I know I had a chance to explore the Everglades, you know, and do the kind of Gentle Ben thing. Do you remember Gentle Ben? Do you remember?
I do remember, yeah.
Yeah, with the bear, and he's Ben, yeah. And I went out on one of those airboats, and you can't even hear yourself think, but it's incredible. The river of glass. It's a beautiful place. It really is.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Without me waffling and reminiscing and telling you about my travels, we could be here all day. Let's meet the first gentleman. This is Jason. I believe you're there, Jason Eckles. Hello.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Now, Jason, thank you very much for joining us. I suppose the first question would be what the status is right now of the real estate in your particular area.
Thank you guys so much. It's great to be here. Orlando right now is in the midst of a red-hot seller's market. Prices have continued to steadily increase since 2010 by about an average of 10% year over year. And the median price right now in Orlando is right at $200,000 US. This is due to a lot of factors, including increasing buyer confidence, all-time low interest rates on financing, and extremely tight inventory. There's more buyers than sellers out there right now, and that's one of the major hurdles that investors face when they're trying to secure properties under market value. But the good news is, if you know where to look, there's still amazing deals to be had in our Orlando market for both buy and hold investors as well as flippers.
Okay, great. Thanks very much for that, Jason. I think there's some really interesting information for the viewers out there. So something I think would be good to know is why do you think Orlando is a great opportunity for somebody rather than other parts of Florida or other parts of the US? Yeah,
great question, Mark. Well, Orlando was in the top 10 of major metropolitan cities in the US for both affordability and cost of living. We were also #1 in the nation for job growth in 2015. That's why we're growing at close to double the average rate of the US in population, and we're actually projected to have a net immigration of 350,000 new residents by the year 2020. So you can see why, with the influx of all these new people coming in, the rental market specifically is so strong right now as these new residents look at different areas before they actually make their purchases.
Hi Jason, Steve here. When people think of Orlando, they think of Disney, Universal Studios, but obviously there's a lot more to do and to see in Orlando than just them things. Can you give us a bit of an insight on other hotspots in Orlando for the viewers today?
Yeah, exactly right, Steve. Orlando is the house of the mouse, as they say. But the reality is there's many other attractions which bring visitors here each and every year. In fact, just last year in 2015, we set a record for tourism with over 66 million people visiting Orlando to enjoy those attractions. What the viewers may not be aware of is that we're also home to the University of Central Florida, which is the second largest university in the US for student population. We have our newly formed successful MLS soccer team, Orlando City, who's going to start their season next year in the brand new stadium built downtown. And we're home to a booming health and sports science industry. There's no better example of this than an area called Lake Nona. Lake Nona is a quick 30 minutes from Disney World, about 10 minutes or less from the international airport, and it's anchored by what's known as the Medical City. Medical City is a partnership between medical schools, on-site hospitals, and research institutes who collaborate to form new breakthroughs in healthcare. The reason I love this area is because it's still in the early phases of development. So investors that by now can ride the equity as new state-of-the-art medical facilities and sportsplexes are built. In fact, in about 1 week from now, the new headquarters of the U.S. Tennis Association is about to open its doors for tournament play. And in 2014, Fortune magazine cited Lake Nona as the quintessential blueprint of how to make a great American city. You know, for my money right now, there's no better area to invest in for specifically buy and hold investors than Lake Nona.
Well, thank you very much for that, Jason. I've written down Lake Nona as a little tip, and you might be hearing from me soon. Now, regarding the rental yield and regarding how soon these properties get rented out, could you shed some light on that for us, please?
Well, in higher capital appreciation areas like Lake Nona, our investors are seeing a 5 to 8% return, cash on cash annually. And in lower appreciation areas, we're seeing as high as 15% cash return on those rental residential properties. And those properties typically rent out in the first 2 weeks or less because of the high demand with the new residents moving in. So the best part is that because of the growth we're experiencing right now in Orlando, rental properties for our investors are extremely liquid right now.
Well, thank you very much, Jason. We'll catch up with you again soon, no doubt. Enjoy the sunshine, you lucky, lucky man.